Last night, I watched Real Madrid beat Getafe 2-1 with a 94th minute winner from Jude Bellingham. He's now made that 5 goals. They broke down and wore down a resolute and defensive Getafe team. Now, Madrid won this game by forcing 2 defensive errors from Getafe. When you force the game, you create your own luck. In that first half against Getafe, Madrid had 8 shots, with 3 being on target. In the second half, they had 18 shots, hitting the woodwork 3 times, and they had 7 shots on target. Madrid forced the outcome in this game against a very defensive team. They took shots outside the box. Players took on opponents before taking shots. They took shots inside the box, headers. They did everything humanly possible to get back in the game to win it. Look at Bellingham's winner. Madrid went 7v7 inside Getafe's box. Look at the positions of the Madrid players. There was chaos everywhere inside that box. And can you tell me that it's no surprise that after peppering Getafe, Madrid finally got the results that they actually deserve? Quickly compare us in the same time frame against Forest yesterday. You have 4 players stationed in an area in which Nottingham Forest are in complete control. We're in front of them. They don't have to worry about anyone sneaking in behind or in front or any disruption or chaos whatsoever. And I say, yeah, did we look like a team yesterday that wanted to win this game? And I'm using Real Madrid as our example because after spending over $1 billion on players, our owners, the staff, they've kept the ambitions very high. So I'm comparing us against the very best. And after the amount of pressure that Getafe received, it was no surprise that eventually they caved in. When bigger teams beat the weaker teams end up beating themselves as they can't cope with that pressure. And ironically enough, we saw Nottingham Forest capitulate against Man United and Arsenal in a very similar fashion. But when they played against us, they were in complete control from the first minute to the last minute. And the greater question is, a question that I've been asking myself for over 1 year watching us right now, is that do any teams feel any type of pressure playing against us? My friends, it is not the case. And to be honest, I think we're a team that just don't know how to win anymore. The last time we had a comeback win was away from home, a Conor Gallagher curler, last minute against Crystal Palace. And for 1 straight year, yeah, whenever we're down, the game is basically over, we can't get back. So my friends, it's time for me to have a serious discussion about the state of this football club. Let's get serious and let's tackle what exactly is going down. I want to start with Pochettino. What exactly was the plan yesterday to help us win the match momentum? Elanga for Nottingham Forest had 3 shots on target, and him by himself had more shots on target than the entirety of our squad that only could muster up to 2, coming from Thiago Silva and Enzo Fernandez. What pressure was Forest defense and goalkeeper facing in that game yesterday? We all know how Pochettino wants us to play. It's all about creating those fast sequences of play, those quick attacks we were enjoying for days during pre-season. But we aren't in pre-season anymore. It's the Premier League. Why would opposition teams allow us to play the football that we want to play? Now look at Man City's game yesterday against Fulham. They didn't muster their first shot on target until the 30th minute, where they scored a goal very soon afterwards. And once they got the first goal, the game completely opened up. They absolutely annihilated Fulham. And that's how you take control and win the match momentum battle. And the question is, where was the desperation? Where was the onus to score the first goal? We had 1 shot on target in that first half. 7 shots were blocked. It was comfortable for Forest defense. And now it leads on to 3 main issues that I saw in yesterday's game. They involve Ben Chilwell, Thiago Silva, and Enzo Fernandez. I feel like now my views are kind of adapting and changing a bit surrounding Ben Chilwell. Hear me out first. I feel like his role as this advanced winger for the team right now in our very asymmetrical back 5 system, which really turns into a back 4 system. But my issue that I'm feeling right now is that this way of playing is creating this, and there's no better way to describe it, but a lack of balls behind how we play. The issue I have of seeing Ben playing this advanced winger role is that he is too predictable. Now, I can't fault the player because he is playing this role down to a T. I was at the game yesterday and I was noticing that Ben wasn't even getting fouled for every single time he was triggering these runs in behind. If he's doing that, he's relying upon any players who are deeper to instantly play the balls over the top. And if they're not doing that, it means that one of your key sources of breaking down the opposition now do not exist. If you're the opposition defense, you're not worried about Ben showing you like a change of pace or some nice footwork, creating any chaos down that left hand side. He's very manageable. And that's my main issue I have by using Ben in this advanced winger role. And I think to myself, these in behind running qualities, which are some of his best qualities, why are they not supporting a winger or an attacking player down that left hand side? When I see Matoma at Brighton, when they create that 1v1 space for them, are we not seeing the runs in behind, inverted, overlapping from Estupiñán? And when they do that, Brighton as a whole team become a lot stronger and a lot better. Because for me, the biggest crime I keep seeing from using Ben in this way is that everything goes backwards. Ben has limits down that left hand side naturally based on being a natural wing back / fullback. So most times balls are getting played behind. Who ends up receiving these passes more times? That's Levi Colwill. Levi Colwill is forced to play a pass backwards most times, and it re-continues this madness that I've been seeing in 4K in yesterday's game. It leads on to my second point. And now let's talk Thiago Silva. Yesterday, an account on Instagram made a criticism against him, feeling like Silva is the main reason behind why we are struggling a bit as a team. Now, Thiago Silva, surprisingly, but in ever non-surprising, classy fashion, responded and actually revealed that we are using a back four system, not a back five, but takes responsibility, of course, for the loss too, because that's what leaders do. Even though this Instagram account's point was incorrect, was the sentiment necessarily wrong? Silva is in this team because Pochettino knows that he lacks mature experience throughout the squad. But reality is always a different picture because you're playing against an opposition that's also trying to get a result against you. And what do these defensive oppositions do recently? They try to stop our defense playing passes into midfield. So then what happens with our passing game then? It becomes incredibly slow. And as you guys are seeing on screen too, Silva's the deepest of the back build-up three. But then who's his real options to pass to? He's either passing to Disasi or Levi Colwill. And it's not about Silva being a bad player. It's about the overall redundancy of having an additional player at the back to help you play out when the opposition aren't looking to press or close you down. We are rarely seeing Caicedo receiving passes from the defense, and I thought this is the reason why we signed him based on how well he played this role at Brighton last season. The amount of hesitation I saw in yesterday's game, the hesitation I forever see against teams that park the bus, sit deep, and don't want to press us. It's this safety first approach, which now leads to my final point, and that is Enzo Fernandez's new role. Now, I know that losing Chukwuemeka was a big loss tactically, but recently I have hated how Pochettino has been using Enzo Fernandez in that Chukwuemeka role. He's playing more as a number 10, and I feel like the team now is missing the brain of the midfield. Enzo should be in those central positions. Enzo is the player that kickstarts the first phase in the build-up. Then he progresses up the field and he attacks the box late in the end or takes shots outside the box. He's an overall complete player, but to waste that skill and capacity on him playing a 10 role where he is far removed from the important things we need from him, that is something that I just can't accept. And I'm going to explain why. Is it any surprise why Sterling was very quiet in the game against Nottingham Forest? Because Enzo Fernandez can speed and control the tempo. He does that with 1-2s. He can do that with the line-breaking passes that we have been missing recently in these past few games. Let's not forget that one of the best qualities about Enzo Fernandez are the pre-assist moments that he makes. He kickstarts the fast sequence of play that overall leads to the end of the attack. So when you have this guy further forwards, out wide, where he's in no man's land positions, when like less technically inferior players and have to like find him further forwards. Nah, I can't accept this. Because what happened yesterday, we had no one in those central areas to at least attract the press of Nottingham Forest. They weren't getting dragged about. They weren't getting shifted from left to right. We were constantly playing in front of them. Safety first nature of football that just like transpires across the whole team. And it leads to this like imagineless No spine, no identity, flat passing, slow football which has been killing us now for like 2-3 years. But I need to end things on my final big point to just wrap this whole video up, to describe why all of this is happening. My friends, is simply this: Pochettino does not want to accept or embrace the youth or the chaos. Because I'm going to keep it very brief here. We are not the type of team that can play perfect control style of football where we're keeping clean sheets for fun, whilst also nullifying the opposition completely, while also scoring goals. You cannot build this if you've decided to invest over $1 billion on players under 24 and under 23 years old. Just because we paid incredible amounts of money to sign these guys does not mean that they right now are the finished article and the finished players. We've bought them for their potential, for their long-term impact. So if that's the start of their careers with us, we have to let them make some mistakes. We have to let them embrace sides of their game to improve upon things. If we have to win games 3-2 or 2-1, it is better than playing these meaningless, pointless games where we lose in the most passive manner imaginable, where the opposition don't even cook us or really put us under pressure, but we beat ourselves due to this impotent style of football we play, which comes from managers that forever feel the pressure at this football club. Like Pochettino, I saw you at Tottenham when you had your Dele Allis, first year Kanes, Sons, etc, etc. Did you make these guys play a passive, safe style of football? No, you let them play their football. And did these guys not benefit from being allowed to make mistakes, allowed to embrace their game over the years? This is the reason why they became the world-class players that they are right now. And when you decided that you wanted to get rid of every experienced player in this team, who are the leaders in the squad right now that a player can go to get guidance in-game and outside the field? These guys have to build themselves up, basically. Why was there no N'Golo Kante part of the squad to ease in your Caicedos and Enzo Fernandez's, and then you play the long-term game plan, you sign Lavia next season, and you build slowly and gradually? When you move very aggressively like this in terms of changing everything in a squad, everything in the club, that also naturally brings aggressive consequences. For a young team like this, if they lose one game, then another game, they start to feel the pressure. Where's the experienced figures around them to get them out of these moments so they can learn how to control their mental, so they don't play the next game with fear within themselves, which we've seen many a player fall victim to over the years? We see how nice these players' touches are, the skills, the little flicks, how they use their left foot and right foot. You can see why the data said by these guys to begin with. But my friends, what's theoretical and what's practical are two different things. Real Madrid are the example I started with in this video because they are the perfect blend of youth and experience. Experience helped Real Madrid win yesterday's game. Experience is why their players got into those attacking positions inside the box, why their big players in Toni Kroos transformed the game by taking shots outside the box whenever he could to keep that momentum up for his team. Are we expecting Enzo Fernandez, no matter how good he is right now, to have that type of game management that a Toni Kroos has at 30+ years old? Who is a player on the field, directing the team, telling the team where to move the ball, where to attack? We don't have that right now because we have a young squad. We need to let these players learn from their mistakes. My God, if I'm seeing Madueke and he has 2 defenders on him, are we expecting this guy to Neymar and Messi himself through to goal? No, you give him an overlapping option. You give him Malo Gusto. And if that means that we lose a little bit of defensive solidity, then so be it, because we need to get the first goal. Let's get the first goal, then let's worry about controlling the game once we've won it. That's where I want to see my manager coming through, yeah? I don't want to see my manager coming through by forcing this passive safety first football which results in absolutely nothing other than hope and pray football near the end. And we have been accustomed to this now for over 2 years. And this is why teams play against us knowing that if they just keep their shape and they bide their time, they will forever get 1 or 2 opportunities to turn the game in their favour, because it's impossible for us to come back. As I said earlier, we have not had a comeback win since October away from home against Crystal Palace. To say that it's a title challenge is just politics to try and get the fans on your side, but it's false, it's not real. We need to get Champions League football. That is the only important thing, but we must let our young players that we spent incredible amounts of money on be able to grow the confidence in their game. If we wanted to win the title, we should have signed experienced players like what Pochettino said before he took over. We didn't listen to him. We bought the players we wanted, and essentially we are doing Borussia Dortmund, Brighton on a £1 billion budget, yeah? You're buying the world's very best talents. You must let them play the football they need to learn and maximize and improve their potential. Because right now, no one's going to improve or get better playing this passive, fearful way. And I'm sorry, Pochettino, this is why you were hired, to inspire the young team like this. And you're going against all the qualities you showed us during pre-season now. Do not become another manager that becomes a victim to the pressure and demands at this club. So my friends, you mind share your thoughts and opinions. I need to see what you guys have to say. And on that note, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.